Mr. Chicken Goes to Paris by Leigh Hobbs. Mr. Chicken loved to travel. His French friend Yvette had invited him to visit. So he studied his maps, grabbed his camera, and caught a taxi to the airport. Mr. Chicken flew to France, Paris to be exact. Economy. As the clouds parted, Mr. Chicken was thrilled to see Paris way down below. "Fasten your seatbelt, please, sir," said the air hostess. "We're about to land." When he arrived, Yvette was there to greet him. "Bonjour, Monsieur Paulette. Welcome to Paris." "Bonjour, Yvette," said Mr. Chicken. "How wonderful to see you." Mr. Chicken was tired after his long flight, but rest was out of the question. He was keen to see the sights, so Yvette bought a museum pass for two and a travel card. After years of looking at pictures and books, Mr. Chicken could hardly believe he was really in Paris. On the way to the Arc de Triomphe, he politely asked someone to take his photo. "Of course, monsieur," came to the reply. "Merci, madame," said Mr. Chicken. On the top of the Arc de Triomphe, he studied his list of helpful French phrases and cried, "Magnifique!" Mr. Chicken took lots of photos for his album before he and Yvette hopped back on the bus. It was time to see some art at the Musée du Louvre. After 5 minutes, Mr. Chicken was exhausted. He was thinking of sitting down and having a cake when Yvette said, "Look, it's the Mona Lisa." "It's lovely," said Mr. Chicken, licking his lips. He took a photo and bought a postcard. Best of all, he found a special Mona Lisa tea towel for his kitchen back at home. Soon after, there was a strange rumbling in Mr. Chicken's tummy. Pardon me," he said. "Maybe we should have some lunch," said Yvette. "Oh, yes, please. Oui," said Mr. Chicken, practicing his French. "Super bien," he said after enjoying 2 frog leg soufflés on board the tourist boat. To help him blend in and feel French, Yvette took Mr. Chicken for a ride on the metro. All went well until he got lost. To make matters worse, he forgot his French, so no one understood when he asked for help. What a relief it was when he heard a familiar voice. "Monsieur Poulette, this way, to the Eiffel Tower." It was Yvette. The queue was long and Mr. Chicken was far too excited to wait for the lift. So he made his own way to the top where he and Yvette admired the view. Back on the streets of Paris, Yvette waited patiently while Mr. Chicken had his portrait painted. He blushed when she said, "It looks just like you." There was so much to do and see and eat in Paris that Mr. Chicken nearly overheated. Just in time, he found a place to cool down. "I think we need to go somewhere quiet," said Yvette. "This," Yvette whispered, "is the most famous church in all of France." The inside of the Notre Dame was certainly beautiful, but Mr. Chicken had his heart set on the rooftop tour. The rooftop tour was thrilling. What's more, Mr. Chicken found a special place to play in the bell tower. Next was a trip to the Palace of Versailles in a taxi with a sunroof. "Queen Marie Antoinette lived here," said Yvette. Mr. Chicken was impressed. In fact, he thought he might like to move in. "Come," said Yvette, "let's look inside." The rooms were huge, and so alas was Mr. Chicken's waistline. "I might have to go on a diet," he thought in the hall of mirrors, catching a glimpse of a great big bottom. At dinner time, however, the diet was forgotten. "It all looks delicious," said Mr. Chicken. "I'll have everything on the menu." A perfect day was nearly over. And so was Mr. Chicken's visit. Au revoir, Monsieur Paulette, said Yvette at the airport. Au revoir, Yvette, said the tearful Mr. Chicken. But right at the last minute, there was a great big problem. While his luggage could fit in the plane, poor Mr. Chicken could not. Luckily, clever Yvette came to the rescue with a splendid idea. So Mr. Chicken and his souvenirs could fly home after all. First class. What a wonderful day it had been.